Imagine living in one of the cleanest, safest, and most advanced countries in the world, where skyscrapers shine, trains run on time, and healthcare and education are top-notch. But here's the question that many wonder about. How much do Singaporeans actually earn? And even more importantly, what kind of salary is considered comfortable in Singapore's fast-paced and expensive lifestyle? Stay with me, because in today's video, we're going to break down salaries in Singapore in a way that's simple, human, and easy to follow. By the end, you'll not only know the numbers, you'll understand what it really takes to live well in this incredible city-state. Chapter 1. The Big Picture of Salaries in Singapore. Let's start with the big picture. Singapore has built a global reputation as one of the richest nations in terms of GDP per capita, financial stability, and living standards. Yet beneath the glitter of Marina Bay Sands and Orchard Road, salaries in Singapore tell a more layered story. The average monthly salary here is around SGD $5,000 to $6,000, about USD 3,700 to 4,400. But averages can be misleading. That number combines both junior staff and top executives, so it doesn't reflect the everyday experience of most workers. For instance, professionals in banking, technology, and law often bring home SGD 8,000, 10,000 or more, while service workers, retail staff, and cleaners may earn closer to SGD 500 to 2,500. This income gap highlights an important truth. Singapore's wealth is real, but it isn't evenly spread. Just like in many countries, the majority of people live comfortably but modestly, budgeting carefully for housing, food, and transport. The gleaming cars and high-end cafes you might see downtown represent only a slice of society. What keeps things balanced, however, is the nation's low unemployment rate, stable economy, and strong government support systems. Even for those on lower salaries, affordable healthcare, public housing, and efficient transport ensure that life remains secure and dignified. So, while salaries may vary widely, the bigger picture is this. Singapore's strength lies not just in how much people earn, but in how the system ensures those earnings can stretch further. Chapter 2. The Minimum and Entry-Level Pay. Here's something important to understand. Unlike many countries, Singapore does not have a single nationwide minimum wage. Instead, it follows what is known as the Progressive Wage Model, PWM, a unique approach designed to gradually raise incomes in specific industries while linking pay increases to skills, training, and career progression. Under this system, sectors such as cleaning, security, and landscaping have structured wage ladders. For example, an entry-level cleaner might start with about SGD 1,500 to 2,000 a month. But if they undergo training and move into supervisory roles, their pay can increase step by step. A security officer might begin with around SGD 2,200, and with experience and certifications, could eventually earn more than SGD 3,000. This ensures that workers at the bottom aren't trapped in stagnant pay, but instead have clear pathways for growth. For fresh graduates, especially those with university degrees, starting pay is significantly higher. A young professional in fields like engineering, business, or IT usually begins with SGD 3,000 to 4,000 per month, with salaries climbing steadily as they gain experience. Polytechnics and ITE, Institute of Technical Education, graduates also enter the workforce with competitive starting wages relative to their qualifications, often in the range of SGD 2,000 to 2,800. So while the numbers vary, one thing is clear. In Singapore, your income strongly depends on education, training, and industry choice. The PWM ensures that even the lowest-paid workers are not left behind, while skilled graduates step onto higher rungs of the income ladder right from the start. Chapter 3. What counts as a comfortable salary? Now we arrive at the question many people ask. What does it take to live comfortably in Singapore? Singapore is world famous for its order, safety, and cleanliness, but also for its high cost of living. Comfort here isn't just about survival, it's about being able to enjoy the city's modern conveniences without constant financial stress. Let's break it down. Housing is the biggest expense. Renting a modest one-bedroom apartment in the city center can cost SGD 2,500 to 3,000, while moving slightly further out might reduce it to SGD 2,000, Utilities and internet average around SGD 200 to 300 depending on usage. Next comes food. A person who mostly eats at hawker centers, Singapore's famous food courts, might spend SGD 600, 800 a month. But dining at restaurants frequently can push that much higher. Transport is affordable if you use the MRT and buses, with monthly costs of around SGD 150, 200. But owning a car can skyrocket expenses due to Singapore's high vehicle taxes. Add to that entertainment, shopping, and small luxuries, which can easily reach SGD 300, 500 monthly, and the numbers begin to add up quickly. Altogether, a single person may need around SGD 4,000, 5,000 per month to feel comfortable, not just paying bills, but saving a little and enjoying life. For families with children, the figure climbs to SGD 8,000, 10,000 or more, especially when schooling and childcare are included. This is why many Singaporeans agree. To feel truly comfortable, you'll want to earn at least SGD 6,000 to 7,000 as an individual, and considerably more as a household. Chapter 4. Salaries by profession. Now let's bring the numbers to life by looking at how much different professions earn in Singapore. This is where the wide salary gap really shows. Take teachers, for example. They are well respected and usually earn between SGD 4,000 and 6,000 per month, depending on seniority. Nurses, who are essential to the healthcare system, typically take home SGD 3,500 to 5,000, a solid wage that allows for a modest but comfortable life. In the tech-driven economy, IT engineers and software developers often enjoy salaries between SGD 5,000 and 7,000, with specialists in artificial intelligence or cybersecurity sometimes earning even more. Meanwhile, Singapore's role as a global financial hub means bankers and finance professionals can command monthly pay of SGD 7,000 to well over 12,000, especially if they're in investment banking or wealth management. Lawyers also sit at the top tier, with salaries ranging from SGD 8,000 to 15,000 or higher, depending on their firm and experience. These high-paying roles reflect the global competitiveness and demand for specialized expertise. On the other hand, construction workers and domestic helpers, many of whom are foreign workers, earn far less, often between SGD 1,200 and 2,000 per month. While these wages may seem low compared to professionals, they are still significantly higher than what many workers would earn in their home countries. This wide range of salaries highlights Singapore's dual reality. High-skilled jobs bring global-level pay, while blue-collar roles remain modest, though supported by stability, housing access, and subsidies. Chapter 5. Taxes and take-home pay. One of the biggest surprises for people looking at life in Singapore is the low personal income tax rate. While many developed countries like the US, the UK, or much of Europe take 30% to 40% of your paycheck, Singapore keeps things lean and competitive. Here's how it works. Singapore uses a progressive tax system, which means the more you earn, the higher your tax rate. But even then, the rates remain modest. For instance, someone earning SGD 40,000 a year, about SGD 300 per month, may pay little to no tax. A middle-income worker making SGD 72,000 a year, SGD 6,000 monthly, typically pays somewhere around 7 to 10% in taxes. Even at the higher end, say a salary of SGD 200,000 a year, the maximum rate is around 22%, far below the 35% to 45% seen in many Western countries. What does this mean for the average Singaporean? It means more take-home pay. If you're earning SGD 6,000 per month, you can expect to keep the vast majority of it. After taxes, you may still take home more than SGD 5,400. This system is no accident. Low taxes are part of Singapore's strategy to attract global talent and businesses. Combined with its safe environment, strong infrastructure, and efficient services, Singapore becomes one of the most appealing places in the world to work. In short, while salaries vary across professions, what matters most is that in Singapore, your hard-earned money stays largely in your pocket. Chapter 6. Housing and the Singapore Dream. When we talk about expenses in Singapore, housing always tops the list. And here's where Singapore is very different from most other countries. Instead of leaving housing fully to the private market, the government plays a central role through the Housing and Development Board, HDB. Over 80% of Singaporeans live in HDB flats, which are public housing apartments. But don't mistake public for poor quality. These flats are modern, safe, and built with thoughtful design. Many come with playgrounds, shops, markets, and even gyms nearby. Entire communities are built into them. What makes this system powerful is the subsidy structure. Young couples buying their first flat can tap into generous government grants, sometimes worth tens of thousands of dollars. This ensures that even those earning modest salaries can afford a home without being crushed by loans. The result? Singapore has one of the highest home ownership rates in the world, over 90%. Owning a home is not just a dream here, it's the norm. For many, this creates a sense of security and stability that goes far beyond a paycheck. Of course, private housing exists too, condominiums and landed properties, but these are far more expensive, often reserved for the wealthy or foreigners. Still, the strength of the HDB system means that ordinary Singaporeans, even on average incomes, can enjoy the pride and stability of owning a home. In short, while housing is the biggest cost, Singapore's system turns it into the foundation of the Singapore dream, not a financial burden. Chapter 7: How Salaries Compare Globally. To really understand Singapore's salaries, we need to see them in a global context. On paper, a teacher in Singapore earning SGD 5,000 a month, about USD 3,700, might seem roughly on par with a teacher in the US who earns around USD 4,000 monthly. But here's the difference. In the US, a big chunk of that income is eaten up by high taxes, healthcare costs, and insurance bills. In Singapore, where taxes are low and healthcare is heavily subsidized, a teacher often takes home more usable income despite earning a similar gross salary. Now let's look at the other end of the wage scale. A cleaner in Singapore might earn around SGD 1,800 per month, which converts to roughly USD 1,300. In some neighboring countries across Southeast Asia, cleaners earn less than USD 200 a month. This sharp contrast explains why so many migrant workers from Malaysia, Bangladesh, India, and the Philippines come to Singapore seeking better opportunities. Even in lower-paid roles, Singapore offers far higher wages, better living conditions, and stronger worker protections than many of their home countries. At the higher end of the spectrum, professionals in finance, tech, and law often earn salaries that rival those in New York, London, or Hong Kong. Yet again, the lower tax burden makes Singapore especially attractive to top talent and multinational firms. In short, Singapore's salary levels may not always look extraordinary at first glance, but when adjusted for taxes, costs, and regional comparisons, they make the country a magnet for both local and foreign workers. Chapter 8: What Locals Think is Enough. This is where things get especially interesting, because while official statistics tell us the average income, the perception of what feels enough is often very different. Surveys in Singapore show that many locals feel they need at least SGD 6,000 to 7,000 per month to live comfortably as a single person. For families with children, that number quickly rises, with many saying they require SGD 9,000 to 10,000 or more to feel financially secure. Why these higher expectations? The answer lies in lifestyle and aspirations. In Singapore, it's not only about paying bills, it's about maintaining a certain standard of living. Families want to provide their children with quality education, sometimes enrolling them in enrichment classes, tuition, or international schools. Many also aspire to travel abroad at least once or twice a year, a common practice in this globally connected city. Dining out is another part of Singaporean culture. While affordable hawker food exists, families also enjoy visiting restaurants, cafes, and malls, which can raise monthly expenses. On top of that, Singaporeans are highly conscious of saving for retirement. Through the CPF, Central Provident Fund, a portion of salaries is already set aside, but most families still prefer to build additional private savings for peace of mind. So when locals say they need SGD 6,000, 10,000, they aren't just talking about surviving. They're talking about living with dignity, comfort, and the freedom to enjoy life's opportunities, values that matter deeply in the Singaporean way of life. Chapter 9, The High Cost of Lifestyle Choices. Let's be honest, in Singapore, comfort is often a matter of lifestyle choices. The same city that allows you to live affordably also tempts you with luxury at every corner. Take food, for example. At Singapore's famous hawker centers, you can enjoy a hearty plate of chicken rice or laksa for just SGD 46. It's tasty, filling, and easy on the wallet. But step into a mid-range restaurant, and that same meal could cost SGD 20-30. Choose a fine dining spot, and the bill may jump to SGD 50 or more per person. Multiply that by a family of four, and eating habits alone can double or triple monthly expenses. Transport is another area where choices matter. Singapore's public transport system is world-class, clean, efficient, and affordable. A monthly MRT and bus commute might cost SGD 150-200, but if you decide to own a car, the story changes dramatically. Due to strict regulations in the Certificate of Entitlement (COE) system, even a small family car can cost well over SGD 100,000, not including insurance, petrol, and parking fees. Owning a car in Singapore isn't just transport, it's a lifestyle statement. The same applies to housing. Living in an HDB flat keeps expenses manageable, while private condominiums or landed houses can stretch budgets into the tens of thousands each month. So when Singaporeans talk about what feels comfortable, it isn't just about income, it's about choices. Whether you live simply or luxuriously, your lifestyle ultimately decides how far your salary really goes. Chapter 10, The Secret Ingredient, Stability. Here's something many outsiders overlook. In Singapore, not everyone is a millionaire. But what people have is something money can't easily buy: stability. And that stability is the quiet force that makes even modest salaries stretch further than in many other countries. First, there's job reliability. Singapore's unemployment rate is consistently one of the lowest in the world. Thanks to careful economic planning and a strong pro-business environment, layoffs and sudden job losses are far less common compared to many economies. Then comes safety. Singapore is ranked as one of the safest cities globally, with extremely low crime rates. This means families can walk at night without fear, and children can commute safely to school. Peace of mind doesn't show up in a paycheck, but it's a form of wealth that residents deeply value. Healthcare is another pillar. While private hospitals exist, the government ensures affordable healthcare through subsidies, insurance schemes, and public hospitals. Even those earning modest wages can access quality medical care without being buried in debt. And let's not forget the Central Provident Fund, CPF. This compulsory savings system takes a portion of every worker's salary and sets it aside for retirement, housing, and healthcare. In other words, every Singaporean is quietly building a safety net in the background, ensuring long-term financial security. So while the average Singaporean may not live in luxury, they live with a rare kind of certainty: the knowledge that their society is designed to keep them secure, steady, and prepared for the future. Chapter 11, Advice for Expats. Now let's talk about foreigners, because Singapore is home to a large expat community. From banking executives to tech specialists, thousands of professionals relocate here each year, drawn by the city's reputation as a global hub of opportunity. One thing to note is that companies usually offer higher compensation packages for expats. Why? Because employers understand that foreigners face additional costs, especially in areas like rent, healthcare, and schooling for children. While a Singaporean citizen might buy a subsidized HDB flat, expats often rent private apartments, where monthly costs can range from SGD 3,000 to 6,000 or more. For families, international school fees can easily reach SGD 20,000 to 40,000 per child per year. These factors add up quickly, so salaries are adjusted to match. That's why many expats in industries such as finance, oil and gas, and technology earn between SGD 8,000 and 15,000 per month, with senior executives making even more. Packages sometimes include housing allowances, health insurance, and relocation support to make the transition smoother. For those considering a move, here's a rule of thumb. If you're single, a salary above SGD 6,000 per month will allow you to live decently, covering rent, food, and leisure. But if you're bringing a family, especially with children in international schools, aim closer to SGD 10,000 or more per month. In short, Singapore rewards talent generously, but living comfortably as an expat requires negotiating a package that matches the country's higher cost of living. Chapter 12. Final thoughts. So after everything we've explored, how much do Singaporeans actually earn? On average, salaries fall between SGD 5,000 and 6,000 per month. But when it comes to feeling comfortable, the answer depends on lifestyle, family size, and personal expectations. For most singles, a monthly salary of SGD 6,000 to 7,000 offers a decent balanced life, covering rent, food, transport, and leisure, with a little left for savings. For families, however, the bar is much higher. Between school fees, housing, and daily expenses, many believe SGD 8,000 to 10,000 or more per month is the threshold for financial security. But here's the key takeaway. Singapore isn't just about salaries. It's about the quality of life those salaries provide. This tiny nation delivers something rare in today's world: safety, efficiency, and opportunity. Streets are clean and safe, jobs are stable, healthcare is affordable, and the CPF ensures long-term savings. Even if incomes vary widely, the overall environment allows most people to build a secure and predictable future. So yes, money matters, but in Singapore, what truly sets the country apart is the stability and structure that protect families and support growth. In many ways, that stability is worth more than an extra few $1,000s. Now let me ask you, do you think SGD 6,000 a month is really enough to live comfortably in Singapore? Or would you need more to feel secure? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next one. Because sometimes the story of salaries isn't just about money, it's about the kind of life a nation builds for its people.